welcome to Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with a gaming twist. I'm your host Clifton, and welcome to another Thursday night live stream. Tonight's going to be a fun one because we are going all around the world with a bunch of different rye whiskeys, including the USA, Canada, Ireland, Scotland, and England. So we're having 5 different rye whiskeys from 5 different countries, and should be a good time. I've never done these comparatively together before. I don't know which one's going to come out on top, but we're going to see. So it should be a fun stream if you're watching live. Hello in the chat. If you're watching the replay, hello. Leave a comment down below what your favorite region of rye whiskey is. I will say, I've had all of these before, but like I said, not together. So I have no idea which one's actually going to be my preference, but it should be a good time. How's that, Don Nishida? Is the volume a little better for you? I may have had it turned down. Whenever I play gaming streams with Fred and Alfonso and Patrick, I turn my volume down, so I may have still had it down. So maybe a little better now. We'll see. Let me know. If not, we can do some more tweaking. Much better. All right, there we go. All right, well, cheers, you guys. Those of you that are in the chat, hello, Fred. Hello, Doug. Emily's here. Emily says, Cliffy says rye, and I'm summoned. Don Nishida says he's never had the Laddie rye before. Well, I've reviewed this on my podcast, but I've not compared it to any other rye, so it should be a lot of fun. Who else is here? Alfonso's here. Tony's here. Good to see you guys. A little low for you as well. Okay, well, let's crank this up. All right, we are cranked up. Maybe it's a little better now. I just want to make sure it's actually using my right microphone, because it could be using my that'd be weird if it was using my webcam microphone, but let me just double check that it's not. It's always hard to tell. Nope, microphone is correct, so maybe that's a little bit better for us now. But appreciate you guys telling me in the chat. Otherwise, I'd never know, because I just can't hear myself here. So Alfonso says, appreciate the shirt choice. Thank you. I went with the green because ryes are green for some reason. Someone decided that ryes are green. But I also did the green and blue because we're going all around the world. And a little bit of, I was trying to think of the colors of the earth, and it's like green, blue, and like dirt. So that's what we're going for here today. But yeah, I'm excited. I love rye whiskey. I love mostly American rye whiskey, but I like that we're exploring different regions and seeing how they compare to each other. So if you're excited for it, hit the thumbs up and let me know. Tony said he made a Bourbon Bytes joke and I didn't laugh at it. Oh no. What was the joke? I missed it. Bourbon Bytes. Bourbon Bytes. I like ryes. Oh, because I'm bourbon, but my name is Bourbon. Listen, Bourbon Bytes loves all kinds of whiskeys, as you all know. Bourbon's has my heart, but rye whiskey is probably my second favorite type of bourbon. So shall we get into it? I'm excited. The American one actually is a different expression. I've never had this expression of this before. If you saw the thumbnail, this is the new Sazerac rye that's 100 proof. So this is not the standard Sazerac rye. That's, I think, 94 proof or 92 proof. I forget the standard shelf for a Sazerac rye, but this one is the new 100 proof one. Now, it's only in a 1 liter bottle, but it's 100 proof. It's not bottled in bond. It's still listed as 6 years old, which I think is what the other one's listed as well. So really, it's just higher proof than the other Sazerac. So we're going to see it. We're going to try that for the first time tonight and work our way through the different countries. Patrick's here. What's up, Patrick? Good to see you. Zover says he's going to grab his Knob Creek Rye and Alberta Premium Rye bottles tonight. Nice. Thank you for joining me for the rye. Tony said I drank a bunch of that Sazerac last night. Oh, nice. I've not tried it. I haven't tried it neat. I had it in Manhattan earlier today because I had to run to the liquor store to pick it up for the live stream. And I texted Justin. I was like, make us drinks while I'm gone. He's like, but what rye whiskey do I use in a Manhattan? I was like, just hold on. I'll bring this one. So I had it in Manhattan. It was great. This is a coffee liqueur because I'm trying to hype myself up for tonight's stream. I took a little nap right before this stream, so getting ready to go. But let's go and move on to our rye whiskeys now that we have a good crowd tonight. So rye whiskey. We're gonna start with American rye whiskey because that's what I've just gravitated towards the most. So this is the Sazerac that we just talked about, 100 proof. Straight rye whiskey. It is technically, Buffalo Trace hasn't revealed their mash bill. I think this is probably a relatively low rye grain rye. Same with Heaven Hill. It's like, yes, it's a rye whiskey. It's at least 51% rye, but there's a chance there could be some corn and barley in there as well. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm very familiar with American rye, either the 95.5, 100% rye, or even this. So I just want to set my palate with what I knew for rye whiskey, kind of give a little overview of what I look for in American rye whiskey, and compare it to these other ones because they're going to be very, very different. I can tell you now. Fred said, I was surprised by that Saz 100. Had a sample at a store, and it was actually quite good from the plastic thimble. Nice. Well, I'm trying it neat for the first time tonight. An appetizer. I love it. Emily asked which one. It is the it's the tequila based. I keep wanting to say Calvados. It's not Calvados. It's Cal. It's a very popular brand name of like tequila. Calzados. Y'all are gonna get it before me. I keep wanting to say Calvados. It's not Calvados. I don't have it in front of me. Otherwise, I would tell you. But that's the it's a coffee liqueur. It was just on clearance the other day. I was like, oh hell yeah, I'll try a coffee liqueur for like $8. All right, but we're moving on to rye whiskey. A chance that a Kentucky whiskey contains corn. Just a chance, right? Exactly. I mean, there are some Kentucky rye whiskeys that do have 100% rye grain in them, but yeah. This one, I just figured Sazerac rye is a good example of an American rye whiskey. Cazadores, thank you. Both of you guys got it at the same time. I knew it started with a C. I was like, Calvados. Oh, wait, shit. Is it Casamigos? Oops, I swore. Oh, well. I try not to swear in the first, like, 10 minutes of my stream, but whichever one does a coffee liqueur, it's like it's just tequila and espresso. So I like it. It's good. All right, American rye whiskey. Usually pretty minty, pretty bright. Sometimes I get a grassy note on it as well. Sometimes I get a bit of an herbaceous kind of like a spice, but not like a baking spice. More of like a brighter spice. Maybe a little bit of like anise or licorice and things like that. So those are typically the notes that I look for. Cazadores really does. Okay, Fred, I paid $8. It was 75% off. I can't complain about that. Okay. Listen, we were at a CVS of all places, and they had a gin, which it's like a not that good of a gin, but it was like gin was 75% off. It was like $4, or maybe it's like $6 a bottle. So we got the gin, and then the coffee liqueur was $8. So I'm like, for 75% off, I can't complain. But yeah, for this American rye whiskey, I know what to expect, but I don't know what to expect out of a Sazerac 100 proof rye. So I'm excited to give it a try. Cheers, you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether you're live or on the replay. Nice. Interestingly enough, I know we were talking a little bit earlier about it being kind of like a low rye. This does it. I don't know for sure what the mash bill of Sazerac is, but there's a lot more rye in there than I expected. It does lean bright, not quite minty, but it has a little bit of like a green tea kind of brightness to it, like a green tea and honey that I sometimes get from an American rye whiskey. Really nice. I think that extra proof of the Sazerac over the standard bottling, which is like in the 90s, is a nice boost. Now, pricing wise, I paid $35 for this. It's a 1 liter bottle, so $35 for the 1 liter bottle. Regular Sazerac rye, the regular 90 something proof, was only about $23, $24. So I can't do that math in my head, but I think they're pretty darn close in price. When this was first announced, I made a podcast talking about how the fact that, like, why does this exist, right? Like, why didn't they just bump the proof up of regular Sazerac to 100 proof? Why did they put a different bottle out? I still don't understand. Maybe someone else will understand that for me. This is a liter bottle, so is this meant for bars and the regular Sazerac's meant for the home? I don't know. I was very confused when this was announced, but I agree with you, Fred. I think this Nice. This nice kick and proof does help amp up the flavor a little bit. Yeah, not too, like I said, not too intense. Pretty mellowed out by the fact that there is corn in here. Honestly, this is a fantastic cocktail rye. When I'm making a Manhattan, I always go for an American rye whiskey. Not to say that that's the only option. We can try some of these other ones maybe and see how they do as a old fashioned or Manhattan. But typically, I go for an American rye whiskey for my Manhattans. This one, just flavor wise, it's exactly what I want that to be. Fred said there's always the option to not buy things. Okay, there is, but like, I'm a sucker for a good deal. You guys know that about me. If something's on discount, I'm probably gonna buy it because I love a good deal when it comes to alcohol. Tony says, tuning in, are we on the radio? Yes, you're tuning in to 101.0 The Bus, the Cliffy Bus. I always thought about starting a radio, like, not like a radio station, but you know, like people have like online radio stations where they kind of curate a playlist and they have their little interludes in between. I kind of always wanted to do that. The only thing is I don't know enough about like music. Like I feel like if you got to be a radio DJ, you got to know your stuff. Like I can't just play 80s music and expect you guys to just like or be expected to know all these random facts about the artist. I just never could do it. Doug says, I'm not impressed by the baby sass, but I haven't come across the 100 or the foolproof. Still haven't seen the foolproof here. Only the 100, and this is the first time I saw it today. So, Zover said, I'm having the old 90 proof sass. Not enough rye for me. Totally fair. Fred said, that's why the 100 surprised me. I presumed it to be mediocre, but it actually is much more flavorful than standard. Moderately floral and honey. Nice. Yeah, I got the honey for sure when I took a sip of it. Sounds like that's a cocktail spec. That's kind of what I thought, right? I think this is meant for cocktails, and I think it is goodbye. Cyanide. Listen, I said a good deal on alcohol. Listen, give me some. I was gonna say Mad. What is the one that everyone drank when like in college, like Mad Dog 40 or whatever on clearance? No, I wouldn't go that low. Maybe a Buzzball. I might do a Buzzball. But yeah, so I really wanted to start with this Sazerac just to kind of set my palate for what I love about American rye whiskey, and we're gonna work our way to other regions and compare them. I'm gonna leave some of this in the glass because we're gonna come back to this probably throughout the night and see how it compares to the other ones. Next up, when you think rye whiskey, what do you think of other than American whiskey? Canadian whiskey. So this is actually a new to me bottle. I just picked it up. I've actually never had this brand. At least I haven't had it in recent years. I may have done a rye whiskey or I may have done a Canadian whiskey flight years and years and years ago, but I don't recall having this particular release. This is just Lot 40 Canadian rye whiskey. When I was looking at reviews of good budget rye whiskeys, this one popped up about the same price as the Sazerac. This was about $35. I have had Alberta Premium Cask Strength, which I saw someone in the chat was drinking Alberta Premium earlier. They had the regular non-cask strength version and this, but I was like, I've never tried this one, so I want to give it a try. It is a Canadian rye whiskey. It says it is crafted in small batches using rye grain in a single copper pot still and aged in virgin oak barrels. So very similar to how we do American rye whiskey. This bold whiskey has been perfected through generations of master distillers. This is Canadian rye whiskey in its simplest form. So that's kind of what sold me on it. I'm like, okay, made in a similar way that American rye whiskey is. ABV on it, by the way, is 43%, so or 86 proof. Sorry, there you go, 43% or 86 proof. Product of Canada. And it's pot still style. So have you guys had this one? I'm curious to hear what you think of it. I was looking at there's a Canadian whiskey subreddit apparently, and they were saying like, what are you guys buying? You know, it was a thread for people that were like bourbon drinkers, and it had to do with the tariffs. And they were saying like, okay, since you guys can't get good American whiskey right now, what are we buying? And a lot of people said Lot 40 is their go-to. So it's another reason I picked it up. It just seems to be like a pretty good shelfer of Canadian whiskey, so I'm excited to try it. 40 ounce Mad Dog 2020. Oops, I said it. Yeah, yeah. Old English. Yeah, y'all know what's up. Fireball. Oh, Fireball. I do like Fireball. Buzzballs. Okay, got a Buzzballs fan out there. Mickey's. I've not had Mickey's. That must be a brand name that I'm not familiar with. It's probably also a malt liquor. I don't know. Let me know. Doug says Lot 40 is a great rye. Don't expect too much, and it's great. Yeah, like I said, $34, about the same price as the Sazerac rye. For some reason, I was thinking this one was 100 proof. I think maybe they have another release that's 100 proof. I just was a little let down when I picked it up. I'm like, oh, I thought it was 100, but it was 86 proof. So did go a little bit down in proof, but we'll see how it is. Now, Canadian whiskey is traditionally Canadian whiskey is one of the loosest forms of whiskey in terms of like what can go into it. A lot of times Canadian whiskey is either rye whiskey or corn whiskey. That's usually what Canadian whiskey is. Usually it'll say 100% rye if it is rye. My belief is this one is 100% rye, but I could be wrong. It does say made with rye grains. So again, not super familiar with Lot 40, but I wanted to taste what a Canadian rye had to show, especially compared to an American rye, which has a lot of corn in it. So let's nose the Lot 40. Oh yeah, grainy. That is very, there's no age statement here. We don't know how old this is. I would guess this is a little bit younger than the Sazerac. It's either that or just their aging is just not as intense. They do say they are using virgin oak barrels, so it should theoretically be, the same wood to grain ratio and flavor profile. But what could be happening here is this could be aging in a climate that's not as intense as Kentucky, like the Sazerac. So the Kentucky whiskey is really integrating with the barrel really well, going in and out of it, kind of influence or infusing it with that wood flavor like the Sazerac is having. So that one's a really complex mix of spice and oak and just a really good whiskey, a good sipping whiskey. This one on the nose definitely is more grain forward. Not quite minty. Again, we're not in the minty territory. Usually I associate that with like a 95.5 rye out of Indiana. Usually Indiana is my go-to rye whiskey if I'm going to have one. But I wanted to try something different with the Sazerac today because I'm just so familiar with that Indiana rye flavor profile. This one doesn't quite smell like either of these, actually. It's a little dry. There's some sweetness to it, almost like a... I said not minty, but now that I'm getting deeper in the nose, there is like a minty sweetness to it. But more of a peppermint. Less of a, like an evergreen or like bright, really like intense mint. And it's more of a sweeter, like softer mint, like a peppermint. Honestly, interesting enough nose to make me want to take a sip of it. So let's try the Canadian rye whiskey. Cheers. Not that far off from what I really like about American rye whiskey, but I will say very different from this Kentucky, the Sazerac. This one is, when I think of rye whiskey in the US, I think more of, like I said, the Indiana style. But I wanted to compare it to a Kentucky rye whiskey because we're mostly a bourbon channel, so I wanted to try this. This one is a lot more similar to the Indiana rye flavor profile than I would have thought. This is nice. I actually wasn't expecting this Lot 40. I mean, not to say that I wasn't expecting it to be good, but I wasn't expecting it to fit that flavor profile that I really like about Indiana rye. This would be a great Manhattan as well. Funny enough, I say I usually use an American or a US rye when I'm making a Manhattan cocktail, but this Lot 40, I think it would hold up. I wish it was a little bit higher proof. Like I said, it's 86 proof. But flavor, it's complex enough. It's not like overwhelmingly complex, but it's minty, it's bright. It's sweet, but not like corn sweet. It's more of just like a sweet, like a how can I describe that? It's like a natural sweetness. Like it's not like there's an added sugar into it. It's more of like these bright minty characteristics have like a sugar as well. I don't know how to really describe that more than that. Doug says Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye and Canadian Club 100% Rye are also both tasty and rye forward. Nice. I'll definitely check those out. I didn't see them on the shelves today when I was picking up bottles for this one, but I I definitely have had the Crown Royal one before, but I've not had the other one. Donner Pass Whiskey's in the chat. He said, I've heard good things about Bruichladdich Rye. Yes, I'm excited to get into that one here soon. And Prescription Bourbon in the chat as well. Cheers to you. Alfonso said, if you can find it, there's a Lot 40 cask strength. I've heard about that. I've not been able to find it. I will say when I was doing, it's been a while, but I've done Canadian whiskey live streams in the past. I wanted to compare Alberta Premium cask strength to Lot 40 cask strength. Couldn't find the Lot 40 in my area, so if you guys know where I can find that, let me know. But their standard regular release, not bad at all. This, again, would hold up well in a cocktail. I think rye whiskey, I enjoy it on its own, but I also really love it in a cocktail, whether it's a Manhattan or an old fashioned. I just think rye whiskey is one of my favorite cocktail whiskeys. So yeah, absolutely I would make a cocktail out of this. Do I prefer it over the bourbon one? Or sorry, not the bourbon one. Do I prefer it over the Kentucky one? We'll see. I'm going to do a ranking at the end. I'm going to see which ones are my favorite. But for now, we're going to just try them side by side, and then we're going to move on to our next rye whiskey. So we're going to move over to cross the pond a bit. Let's go on to Irish rye whiskey. Now, I bought this by mistake, okay? So here's what happened. What had happened was one of my favorite just go-to at home mixed drinks, not even a cocktail, but a mixed drink, is ginger ale and Irish whiskey. I love, my go-to is actually Teeling small batch and ginger ale. I could drink that like all the time. But I was like, you know what, let me try Powers. Powers is a relatively well-known, they have a lower end release. So let me try that instead of Teeling. Let me put it into my ginger ale. So I picked up this bottle. Again, I didn't really read it. I just was like, oh, there's the cheapest Powers. Let me buy it. I put it in my ginger ale, and I was like, what's going on here? And then I realized that this isn't the regular Powers. This is the Powers Irish Rye. 100% Irish Rye mash whiskey. So this is not regular Powers. By the way, just spoiler alert, I don't think rye whiskey and ginger ale go together at all. I think that combo just doesn't work for me. So this one threw me off for sure. But I was like, I gotta have a use for this. So I've revisited it a few times, but I thought it would be perfect for a stream like this where I am trying different regions of rye whiskey. So let's try what Irish rye whiskey tastes like. Heather Starkey in this chat. Heather, good to see you. Hope you are doing well, my friend. Cheers to you. Hopefully you have something nice in your glass as well. Donner Pass said that the Lot 40 cask strength is hard to see in the US. Zover said he dumped his baby Saz into a raspberry lemonade and that fixed it. Well, there you go. Doug says, I bought my Powers on purpose. Maybe Stacy influenced me. Zover said you should always use raspberry twisted tea. So, Doug, I'm actually excited because I'm going to be joining Stacy for a stream in March. She's going to be sending me a rye whiskey flight. Very, very excited. It's going to be over on her channel. If you guys don't yet follow Four Leaf Whiskey, go follow Stacy. She's an incredible resource and just source of so much incredible knowledge about Irish whiskey. I'm so excited to join her for a stream. It's been too long since I've either had her on my channel or been on her channel. So go check her out, and I'll keep you guys updated when I do that stream because she always shares really good stuff, and it makes me realize Irish whiskey is a category that I don't purposely neglect, but I just feel like I don't know enough about it to know what the good stuff is, and she always gets the good stuff. So cheers to Stacy with this one. So let's give this Powers Irish Rye a nose. Okay, still in the grain territory. Very, very grain forward. Dry. Dry is the easiest thing I can say about this. It's not sweet on the nose like either the Kentucky rye or the Canadian rye. Those are a lot sweeter, a lot brighter. This Powers Irish Rye, it smells clean, if that's a descriptor. It's very lemony, a little bit like honestly, it kind of smells like hand soap. Like, I'll be real. It does smell like a lemon dish detergent or dishwash. If Todd Cooper was in the chat, he'd absolutely know that note because that's one of his go-to notes when we're tasting a whiskey. Yeah, it's a little bit sour, a little bit grainy and dry. Not sweet. It's like it's replaced the sweetness with a sour note. Very different. As you can tell, I was quite surprised to pour this into my ginger ale. Not the flavor profile I was expecting at all. All right. Nose, a little scared of, but let's see how this does on the palate. I will say powers. I love John's Lane. I love their, is it Three Doves Swans? Something? Three something? There's something that it's one of their other ones. Three Swallows. There we go. Swallows. Knew it was a bird. I knew it was a bird. I prefer their John's Lane release in the past. So Todd and Lemon Pledge incident. Oh, there have been plenty of those Lemon Pledge incidents with Todd. All right, this is interesting on the nose. Let's see how it does on the palate. Cheers. Different. Quite different. Swan. No, not swan. Swallows. Sorry. I got my SWA birds confused. That's weird on the palate. I'm gonna be real. That is nothing like these other two rye whiskeys. The palate very closely aligns with the nose. It's a little lemony, a little sour, maybe a little sweeter on the palate. I don't know what my place for this whiskey would be. I don't think it would be that interesting in a cocktail. I just think it's kind of one note. I think it's kind of the more I let it sit on my palate, it does have a long finish, and it does go a little minty on the finish, but it's like a toothpaste mint versus like a peppermint or like an evergreen mint. It's more of like a very medicinal kind of clean kind of flavor. Not my jam, personally. Let's see if they say anything on the back. No. It just says made from 100% Irish rye. ABV, by the way, is 43.2% ABV, so 86.4 proof. And is distilled and matured at Middleton. I don't love it. I don't think it's a unique experience. But I will say, if I'm looking for a rye whiskey, I'm not going to grab this one. It's too off profile for what I expect to get on both. Off profile from what I expect to get from an Irish whiskey, first and foremost, and what I expect to get from a rye whiskey. It's its own unique, fun animal. It's just not an animal that I want to pet. I don't know. I'm going to keep up that metaphor, but yeah, I don't love it. I'm gonna dump that into a glass. Maybe I'll chug it a little bit on my after party hangout for those on Patreon. But not that great for me personally. Tony said it paired well with the free bottle of vermouth it came with. Okay, so you had it in your cocktail. That's good to hear. I'm just having it neat. Tony said, yeah, my powers came with a free bottle of vermouth. It was awesome. Nice. Doug says there's no spicy herbal things in the powers nose. No, for sure, not me. There was like maybe some mintiness, but it was very lemony. Donner Pass Whiskey said, Stacy is such a great source of info about all things Ireland. In 2021, before her channel started, she gave me so much great info before I went to Ireland in the chat and other live streams. Great lady. And then Emily drops her link. Yes, yeah, go support her. She's amazing. If you want a good Irish rye, Kilbeggan is the way to go. Okay, interesting. I've heard that name before, but I've never had it. But it's probably better than that. I mean, again, this was a budget when it was like $25. It wasn't anything exciting at all. I just was kind of not expecting it to be a rye whiskey. I'll just say that. But you know what I was expecting to be a rye whiskey? This new Bruichladdich release, the classic rye, or the Laddie rye, sorry. This one I reviewed on my podcast probably about a month ago now. Let's see if that'll focus. There we go. This is the Laddie rye. Isla single grain Scotch whiskey, distilled, matured, and bottled at Bruichladdich Distillery. It is a 100 proof, 50% ABV, single grain Scotch whiskey, 7 years old, and made with rye. So there's some info here on the bottle. If you want the full breakdown of this one and the full review, make sure to check out the Bourbon Bytes podcast wherever you get your podcasts. I do episodes every week. New episode drops every Thursday morning. Today, I just uploaded a review of the bottled in bond release of Bardstown Bourbon Company and discussed very thoroughly their rebranding that's got everyone up in arms across the whiskey industry. I've seen so many opinions about the rebranding of Bardstown Bourbon Company. Well, I gave my thoughts in a review on the Bourbon Bytes podcast. You can find it here on YouTube. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, literally anywhere you get your podcasts. So search it up and give me a listen. But quick breakdown of the Bruichladdich rye. It says the Lottie rye is a shared vision between distiller and farmer, challenging monocropping and its impact. Rye is a crop which improves soil health without the need for artificial input. With our farming partners, we share in the risk and reward to champion agriculture and explore flavor. With rye and barley farmed on Isla, along with distillation, full maturation and bottling, the Lottie rye embodies our commitment to land, community, and whiskey. So it sounds like this is a blend of rye and barley. It is matured in American oak for 7 years old along the coast and unchill filtered, no color added. So I'm very interested to give this a try next to some classic ryes versus the classic Lottie, the Lottie rye. Get it? No, not really. It's fine. I don't either. All right. Donald Rance is in the chat. Speaking of Canadian whiskey, Donald, you just missed my review of Lot 40, just the standard shelf for Lot 40. Pretty dang good. Also, I had the Powers Irish whiskey, so also you probably have thoughts on that as well. Bruichladdich seems to have a greener, darker teal for their rye. Yeah, so it is. Yeah, exactly. It's more green, but it definitely is darker teal. If you look at the text is similar to what the classic Lottie color is, this light blue, but the label itself is like a darker green. Tony said he spoke with Jazz about the rebrand. She is traveling tonight, but says she'll be excited to hang with us again soon. Awesome, Tony. Thank you so much for I'm curious to hear her thoughts. I saw she liked my post on Instagram, so hopefully I didn't ruffle too many feathers there, but I don't want to spoil my thoughts on the rebrand. Listen to the podcast. I gotta get listened somehow, right? All right, so this one, like I said, Isla. It's not peated, so even though it's Isla, it's a non-peated whiskey product. Actually, I say that, but it kind of smells a little peated. Am I wrong? I honestly forgot. I forgot that this is peated. I don't think it is. It does have quite a little... It does have a little bit of a peat note to it. It doesn't say that it is. Maybe that's just the nose itself. It could just be the malted barley that's in there. Very malt forward. Even though they say this is this has rye whiskey in it, it's a very malty flavor. I think that's what I was thinking is the peat. It's not smoky. It just has very, very, very grain forward notes. Honestly, I wouldn't guess that this is a rye whiskey based on the nose. I would guess this is a Bruichladdich. I like Bruichladdich, but coming from the other ones, I think this one very much smells like a Bruichladdich Scotch. It's almost... The reason I thought peat, because it's such a dark, rich, almost ashy kind of note to it. Not smoky at all. Just really dark, earthy... A little bit sour. I think I said when I did a review of this, I think I said like a little bit of an overripe apple. Definitely interesting of a nose. Let's see how it tastes compared to the other rye whiskeys. Cheers. Did Clifton do the Lot 40 yet? Yes, I did that earlier. I did like it. I was a fan of it. I wish it had a little bit more proof to it, but I think for the price, it's pretty dang good. And Doug says they didn't peat it. Okay, good to know. Nice. weird. Weird, but like in a good way. This has all the classic notes of an Islay whiskey, other than the peat. It's not peated. I was getting a peat element to it, and I think that was just the malted barley itself, the way it expressed it. It does have a little bit of like a sea salt kind of brine thing going on to it, which is something I've never had in a rye whiskey. I like it. It's just unlike any rye whiskey we're trying tonight. I'll tell you that right now. It's I like it. I'm a fan of it. It's fun. It's different. It's unique. I think that's why I rated it so highly when I did the review of it. But when you're considering it like a rye whiskey, it's like 20% rye, like flavor-wise. It's like 20% of a rye whiskey and 80% of a classic latte. It's like mostly the typical Bruichladdich flavor profile, but with a bit of mintiness and a bit of brightness. Not that different from the, sorry, I'm like thinking. Different enough from the Powers. The Powers was like, Powers was kind of weird. It's almost similar to like what I find in a Lot 40, that brighter, little, not citrus, but a little bit minty, peppermint kind of sweet note. It is very odd, Fred said. I don't know how to describe this because it's unlike any product I've had before. And I think I said that about the Powers, but this, I mean this in a good way. Like the Powers I think is forgettable, but I'm curious to see, you know, I do my monthly tasting for my Bourbon Terabytes and up on the Bite Club or my membership program or Patreon. I think I would be curious to hear what you guys think about this and the Powers if you've not tried the Powers. I want to know, it's so different and so unique that I feel like I want to get other people's thoughts on it before I just totally just, I'm not crap on it, but I'm just like, I don't have anything to compare it to. It's so different and so unique. Doug said Bruichladdich is usually fun. This is fun. It's fun and different, and I would never guess it's a rye whiskey, but it's a fun whiskey. I like it a lot. I can't see this being a cocktail rye. It's too bold of a flavor. It's got too much of that rich barley quality to it that I think in a cocktail, it would just overwhelm it completely. Maybe in like a Scotch cocktail, I don't make too many of those, other than like a Rusty Nail or something, but this has potential. I just think this is more of a Scotch drinker's pour than a rye whiskey drinker's pour, if that makes sense. If you're used to traditional rye whiskey from the US or Canada, you're going to be very confused and thrown off by this. Doug says, how much malt are you getting? A lot. More so than I thought, actually. When I tried this on its own, I didn't pick up on it as much because I was just drinking it, just the only thing I had that day. Today, going from all these really intense rye whiskeys, going to this, that malt is first and foremost. That is a very bold flavor. I don't dislike it at all. I like it a lot. I just don't think it is in the realm of these other rye whiskeys we're drinking today. So that doesn't mean it's not going to rank high. I think it's unique, but very, very much unlike what I'm used to with rye whiskey in the US and Canada. So I'm going to pour the rest of that. We got one more whiskey to drink today. We're going to do that, and then I'm going to pick my favorite. I'm trying to rinse my glass, but I realize I'm spilling it all over my desk. As usual. You guys don't usually see it. Tony says hydrate. I know. Rinsing my glass and hydrating at the same time. All right, lastly. This is one I've reviewed a couple times on the channel before, but never compared to other rye whiskeys. This bottle I picked up in London, of all places. I was looking for a unique bottle from each country that I visited when I went to the UK and Amsterdam and Paris last March. And I came home with this bottle. This is a London rye whiskey. Now, it's from the East London Liquor Company, which I've talked about a couple times on the podcast. This is a non-chill filtered, cask strength rye whiskey from London, finished in Chardonnay wine cask. Yes, you heard that right. Chardonnay cask. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why at all. But they give you a ton of great info here on this release. I picked this up at the Whiskey Exchange, by the way, if anyone's curious where it came from. Oh, come on, that's some good info. Focus. That's good info. There we go. There we go. There. Oh my god, it keeps auto-focusing. All right, I'm gonna hold it up. There we go. There we go. So that gives you the proof when it came off the still. It was filled in 2018 and then disgorged in 2023. So this one is a 55% malted rye and 45% malted barley. So it is malted, but it also has the barley in there. Not that dissimilar to the Bruichladdich rye. It should be a similar composition of grains. Doug said, "Why is this half gone?" Well, it's been almost a year since I bought it, so I don't know if that's a statement on like what you think of it or if you're just curious. I'll say I haven't drank it in at least 3 or 4 months. I'll tell you that. Doug said, "I think I'll buy the Bruichladdich rye when I see it. I'm intrigued." Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely pick it up, especially if you're a fan of Bruichladdich. It's such a different, unique flavor profile. I recommend it to anyone that's fans of them. So. But yeah, this is the Chardonnay cask. Now, this was a special bottling done. There's only 252 bottles of it. I think this may have been an exclusive. I don't know if it was entirely for the Whiskey Exchange, but that's where I found it when I picked it up. Let's give this one a nose. Okay. Strange, again. Sour. Sour. Not lemony, though. More of like a sourdough bread. Yeasty, I would say. Some malt characteristic. Honestly, this one on the nose kind of reminds me of what I could imagine the Bruichladdich and the Powers blended together. Taking those citrusy, bright vibes from the Powers and mixing with them with those darker malty notes from the Bruichladdich rye. Kind of seems like what you would get this. Now, take that delicious blend and then take some years off the age, because the Bruichladdich was 7 years old. This one doesn't have an age statement. I don't think it's very old. I think it's very, very grain forward. This one is probably the most distinctive nose of them all, and it's a distinctive in a way that I think a lot of people wouldn't like it. Like, it's unique. It smells nothing like a rye. It smells nothing like a single malt. I mean, okay, you know what this reminds me of? This is my honest opinion of it. Do you know when a lot of U.S. distilleries were first getting into American single malts and they were like making really, really, really young American single malts and they were putting them out way too young and they were just so grainy and so like sour? Kind of what I'm getting on the nose here. This smells too young. It just has like a kind of a sour, not like, because it's funny I said overripe on the Bruichladdich. This is almost like underripe. Like, it's just like you ate a green apple or a green tomato way before it was ready to be eaten. All right, let's go for a taste. Enough complaining. Let's go for a try of the London Rye whiskey. Cheers. So to answer your question of why half of this is gone, it's because I keep revisiting it. It has such a weird flavor. It almost reminds me of, I know Chardonnay cask, like there's the wine cask, but it almost tastes like a little bit like a muscadine wine, but without the sweetness. It's a very tart flavor. Definitely malted. That malt characteristic from the rye and the barley is there. I will say this is... Listen, okay. This is a very unique flavor profile. It's one that you have to get acclimated to. I don't know, and that's a great question. Fred asked, do you think the sour is from the wine cask? It could be. It really could be. But I'm not getting any of those notes that I think that the whiskey itself, before the wine cask, was that good to begin with. You know, sometimes people theorize that people will finish a whiskey in a cask because the whiskey itself wasn't good, and they were like, well, let's try to save this whiskey. Let's put it in a second cask and see what happens. Not saying that's what happened here, but I just don't enjoy it. I know. I think I gave this a shot so many times. I think when I first had it, I raved that it was unique. But now that I've tried ryes from 4 other regions across the world, they're all doing it better than London. I just don't think this. I don't know if it's the Chardonnay. It could be the Chardonnay. It could just be the London rye whiskey itself. I don't enjoy drinking it. I think it is sour, a little acidic. I see tart all the way to acidic. Yeah, it's a little acidic. Not quite to the point where it's like bile, which that sounds so nasty. But like, you know, sometimes a whiskey has like a bile note to it. Not quite there. I'm not a fan. Yeah. So it could be the wine cask. It could just be the rye whiskey itself. It's a fun experiment. It's fun to try a whiskey from London, but I think I'll stick to some gins, some London dry gins, or they're great beers. Maybe not whiskey. I think they're known for what they're known for, because this ain't it. So I'll go ahead and wrap this up. My final ranking tonight, going from across the world in rye whiskey, the one that has my heart and unfortunately did not get beat tonight was the United States rye whiskey, particularly the Sazerac 100 proof rye whiskey. Just a delicious, solid sipper, cocktail rye, and just it's everything I want a whiskey to be, but with some of those rye elements that you don't get in a bourbon. They really do brighten it up, make it a little more lively, and just a very fun whiskey. Next up, this is where I'm a little bit of a toss-up. I think for me, next up would be the Lot 40. I think that's my second place, because this impressed me for what it was. I think it was a lot more similar to like a 95.5 rye from Indiana than I thought. Now, this one particularly was aged in virgin oak. I think it was made in a very similar way that U.S. rye is made. So it may not be the perfect expression of what some people consider Canadian rye. But for me, for this being seen highly ranked on the Canadian whiskey subreddit, which is where I went to for recommendations, a lot of people said Lot 40 is one of their favorites. So I picked it up, and I agree. It's really good. I can't wait to try the caster if I can find it. My third place, this is going to go for sure to the, we're going backwards. Third place, we're going to go to the Bruichladdich, the Lottie rye. This one is such a fun, funky thing. I can't compare it to any of these other ryes because it doesn't taste like a traditional rye flavor profile. But it is a great sipper. I think 7 years old, 100 proof. I think pricing wise wasn't that bad. I think it was like $50, $60. I don't remember exactly. Again, listen to the podcast for my full thoughts on this one. This is such a fun release. I love seeing a new release. This was a US only release for this year. They might release it elsewhere in the future, but this was a US only release when it first came out. It's just such a fun experiment. I love seeing a brand that I know and love with Bruichladdich do something a little different. So that's my third place. Fourth place, I don't know where to put this. I don't know what to do with this. I've had this bottle since I accidentally started making ginger ales with it. Powers Rye. Maybe I need someone like Stacy to tell me why this is better. But just Powers Rye to me, I'd rather just have a regular Powers. Maybe, like I said, the Three Swallows or the John's Lane. I just think this is funky and weird, but not in as good of a way as the Bruichladdich is. It's not off-putting. It's not like the worst thing I've ever had, but it just isn't my jam in terms of flavor profile. Donner Pass Whiskey said, never had the Sazerac, but I remember Rittenhouse Rye being very nice. Rittenhouse Rye is absolutely one of my favorite American ryes. I actually almost bought a bottle of that for this live stream, but then I realized that I haven't done the Sazerac 100 proof. So that's the only reason. I love Rittenhouse Rye. I love Elijah Craig Rye. Heaven Hills Ryes are some of my favorite if I'm not drinking a Indiana Rye. So I feel you on that. Donald said Lot 40 Dark Oak. I almost said Dark Arts. Dark Oak is a good one to try. Not seen that one, but I will keep an eye out for sure. Fred said, first place, America. Second place, America North. Doug said, I'll take funky. Get you some vermouth, says Tony. Okay. Sure. Okay. Fred says, Stacy, huh? It's not like you have the Whiskey Yoda in your chat. I know I do. Donald, you need to, but I know, Donald, we don't really like exchange samples or anything. But if you do send samples, let me know. I know you're like a supposed to be. So the only reason I mentioned Stacy because she sent. If you missed it earlier in the flight, we love both of our Irish whiskey friends, but Stacy is sending me a flight that we're going to do in the next few weeks. So that's why we're mentioning Stacy early. But yes, Donald, maybe you convinced me. I don't know if you're a fan of Powers or not, but that one just doesn't do it for me. The Powers Rye, particularly. Last place for me, unfortunately. I love England. I love visiting England, but London Rye Whiskey Chardonnay cask is, as much as I keep wanting to revisit this and like think it's not as bad as I remember it being, it's never great. It's just too funky and weird and not in a good way. It tastes young, it tastes sour, and I don't know if that's from the Chardonnay cask or if that's from the whiskey itself. Just to me, not a very enjoyable pour. So yeah, I would skip the London Rye Whiskey. All the other ones I say give a try. If anything that you're like a little iffy about, skip the Powers. But Sazerac, Lot 40, and the Bruichladdich Rye are fun buys and great ways to try different experiences of rye whiskey across the world. None are the same. That's what's really crazy about it. This is the same grain being used in these different whiskeys all across the world, but each one has its own signature flavor profile. And that's what I love about it. Now, there's one that I didn't buy. If you guys love this topic, I might go out of my way and buy a bottle. There's a German rye whiskey. I think it's called Eifel Rye. I almost bought a bottle for tonight's stream, but it was $80. And I was like, I already have 5 whiskeys. I don't know if I need a $80 rye whiskey to add to this flight. We have plenty to drink. But if you guys have strong feelings for German rye, let me know. Maybe I'll revisit this and do a similar stream, but with other rye whiskeys. I was very curious to try it. I would love to try German. I don't think I've had a German spirit in general, so would love the opportunity. I love like German and like beer and things like that, but not a rye whiskey. So sounds French. I know it may not be pronounced Eiffel. It may be Eiffel. I don't know. I don't speak German, but I can if you like. That does it for tonight's stream. Cheers to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, Donald had a response. Powers Rye is okay. I think Kilbeggan might be a better Irish rye. That's what Fred said as well. I'm going to have to pick that up soon. Just never had a chance to try it. So now I know for the future. But thank you all so much for watching. This has been another episode of Bourbon Bytes. If you missed today's podcast episode, go check that out on wherever you get your podcast. If you want to support the channel, you can go to bourbonbytes.com and follow me on all the social media platforms. But for as little as $2 a month, you get access to early drops of my podcast episodes, polls, monthly movie nights, all these fun things that my Byte Club members get. If you're curious, there's a link in the description on how to join. A lot of the chat here was A lot of the chat here are part of my community. So if you want to be part of it too, check that out. We always welcome new members. And until next time, this has been Bourbon Bytes, a whiskey channel with a gaming twist. Cheers and have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.